And just like Heath Ledger said, here we go. It's officially day one of training camp where rookies and veterans will be in attendance for the Washington Commanders. And in my mind, that makes this officially day one of the 2025 NFL Commanders regular season. If that's not reason enough to hit the like button on this video, then I don't know what is. Guys, if you're new here, my name is Grant Mitchell. I am going to be taking you through a daily journey with daily uploads where we talk about Commanders news, break down practice clips, talk about what's in store, all the big headlines involving your Washington Commanders, such as if Donald Trump is going to force them to change the name, is Jayden Daniels going to win MVP, how much money is Terry McLaurin going to get, things like that, and anything you could possibly imagine, we're going to talk about it here. So again, hit the like button if you want to support me in the channel, hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on what we've got in store. Today, because it is the first day of training camp where everyone is supposed to be in attendance, I think it's important to touch on a couple of different subjects, some of them pertaining directly to training camp, and some of them a little bit separate. But since, it is training camp and there's one big name that we're all waiting for, Terry McLaurin, feel as if we should probably start with an update there. And the update is that there is no update. I made a video yesterday and I went over some comments that were made, and essentially it sounds as if Terry McLaurin does not want to split the Commanders up. He wants to be there, but he also has previously said that he doesn't see how he could step on a practice field with his current deal. And I believe that Terry doesn't want to leave the Commanders. Yeah, if he wanted to leave, he would not have signed an extension after his rookie contract. The time to leave already passed. Frankly, it's kind of a miracle that he didn't leave, considering where the franchise was at that time. But because he's there right now, and because the team is coming off of this appearance in the NFC Championship game, no, of course he doesn't want to leave. He's finally got his quarterback. He just broke a franchise record in receiving touchdowns, and there's a good chance that he can make some money. So yeah, I believe that. He's not going to try to demand a trade. But again, as I talked about in yesterday's video, Adam Peters does owe it to the team and the fan base to be good for the long term. Does a Terry McLaurin extension help for 1, maybe 2 years, or does it help for 5 years? All considerations that have to go into this process. More details in yesterday's video. Check it out if you want to hear my thoughts on it. So again, the big update is that there's no update, and this is officially day one of training camp. I don't know the exact time that the practice is supposed to start, but if we don't get a deal in the next couple of hours, then, I said day one, today's day one of the season. That means we're entering the season without a new deal for Terry, and we'll see what happens there. I want to talk now about some interesting insights from Von Miller. He did a sit down with Brian Colbert Jr., who does a lot of the Commanders media. They always sit down, or they usually sit down with marquee signings, and sometimes those videos, which were posted on the Commanders YouTube channel, they might just be 5-6 minutes long, general get to know this person, but this one was 15 minutes. And before I even clicked play on the video, I thought that was interesting. Not that it was surprising, because it is Von Miller we're talking about here. Has his name lost a little bit of the juice it may have once carried? Sure. But he's top 20 in sacks all time. He's a defensive player of the year, a Super Bowl champion, and a Super Bowl MVP. So he had some insights to share. Now, he talked about several different things, one of them being the reason that he chose to sign with the Commanders. He said that of the options that were really presented to him, the Commanders were the best team, and they had the best quarterback, which I feel like would make sense for pretty much everybody out there. If you're ranking quarterbacks and teams above Jayden right now, Chiefs and Mahomes, okay. If you want to put Burrow above him, but the Bengals aren't above the Commanders, I don't think. Josh Allen and the Bills, okay. Lamar and the Ravens, okay. It's a very short list, so I don't think this was Von Miller pandering, as if the Commanders had just got 9-8 and lost in the first round, and maybe Jayden didn't win Rookie of the Year. Like, there's a difference between a young, up-and-coming team versus, no, these are already bona fide contenders. So I trust his word on that. He also said that because he has played with Peyton Manning and Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen over the course of his career, it made it hard for him to move to a new location. He had to find the right quarterback and the right team, and he said Jayden Daniels fit that bill, and he was excited to get to work with him. Also, some of the other veteran leaders like Bobby Wagner said it was going to be exciting for him. One thing that I really appreciated, which he mentioned, is I've talked about his impact not just on the defense, but on the offense. I want to see his impact on the development of a Josh Connerly Jr., of a Brandon Coleman, of these young guys. And Von Miller numerous times said, if there's one thing I take pride in myself, I know for a fact that I'm the best locker room guy in the entire league. I know that I'm the best culture setter that we have in the NFL. And once again, looking at the teams that he's been on and how people speak of him and how his career has gone and the things he's achieved, I agree with that. And one thing we learned from the Commanders last year was they didn't need to sign the top of the top of the top talent. They had such a unity and such a sense of togetherness and experience and intelligence and savvy and belief that they were able to become more than a sum of their parts. I believe Von Miller joining a locker room that already has Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, I really like that. Sign me up for it. It sounds like a Joe Witt Jr. Guy he could work with. Another thing that Von touched on here, and this is probably where we'll leave that interview because I don't want to spoil everything. I want you guys to go check it out. Again, it's on the Commanders YouTube page. One thing that he said was he really wants to break into the top 10 for all-time sacks. And look, that might sound a little ambitious, but let's break it down. So Von Miller is currently 16th on the list with 129.5 sacks. He's very close to some big names. Lawrence Taylor, he's only 3 sacks away from him. John Abraham, Jared Allen, guys that are really close. He can tie for 10th all-time if he gets 8 sacks this year. He had 6 sacks in 13 games last year, and that was as a second-string player. He might still be a second-string player, but if he's in there for 16 or 17 games, 8 sacks is definitely on the board. If he does get that, that would tie him with Richard Dent and John Randall. If he gets any more than 8, even if it's just 8.5, he will take sole possession of 10th. And I'm just looking at this list right now. It's kind of ridiculous. So Richard Dent is at 10 at 138. Then you got DeMarcus Ware at 9, 138. Terrell Suggs, 139. Michael Strahan, 141. Chris Dolman, 150. Julius Peppers, 159. Kevin Green, 160. And then we jump all the way to Reggie White at 198. And of course, the all-time leader, Bruce Smith, at 200. So from 3rd to 10th is a gap of 21. And then from 3rd to 2nd is a gap of 28. So Reggie White and Bruce Smith really just separated themselves from the pack on that one. Left no doubt. But Von Miller, look, he can do it. And the way he was talking, he had a very interesting quote, which was, you don't want the league to kick you out, but you also don't want to leave before you have to. And that sounded to me not just like he wants to play one more season, but maybe a second one as well. Maybe even beyond that, but it wasn't something you say when you're like, yeah, this is my final year and then I'm ready to pack it in. Now, there was no indication of that. He still seemed to have the motivation and the juice to continue to add to his all-time legacy, a historic legacy. So if we get to the end of this year, and I don't want to call this a prove-it deal because that's not what it is, but Bobby Wagner was on a 1-year deal last year. Austin Eckler might have been on a 1-year, might have been a 2-year as well. But some of these veteran guys that the Commanders got, the older guys, they were like, hey, here's 1 year, and if it goes well, let's run it back. I could see this Von Miller thing being a similar situation. Like, yeah, Von, if you get 9 sacks and you become the sole owner of 10th all-time in sacks, well, we needed those 9 sacks, so here's another 1-year deal if you want to keep playing. I could definitely see that being a reality for the Commanders' future. Another possible reality, though, for the future of the team, and I'm omitting the word Commanders there, is because the reality of the future might be they might have to change the name. We had an update, again, in yesterday's video that President Donald Trump may force the Commanders to change their name if he is going to help them get to the RFK site for their new stadium. Change it back to what it was when they were winning Super Bowls, of course, the days that they are currently trying to recapture. Caroline Leavitt, who is the White House press secretary, came out and said that Trump was, quote, dead serious about the name change. Direct quote here from Caroline Leavitt. Sports is one of the many passions of this president, and he wants to see the name of the team changed. She also mentioned that he was a non-traditional president in some of his pursuits, and we've seen that, like the whole MMA, UFC, White House event that could be happening on the 4th of July next year. I can't imagine any other president in U.S. history hosting something like that. But boy, as someone who lives 15 minutes away from D.C., it'd be pretty cool. Not saying that I would go because I don't even know. I don't want to know how much those tickets are going to cost. I'm sure there probably won't even be that many publicly available. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of officials and diplomats and like friends of the president and friends of famous people and whatnot. Those tickets, there's probably going to be only 1,000, couple thousand for public consumption, and they're going to be six figures maybe. I'm kind of rambling here. Point being, Trump is an atypical president. But when he has said that he might not let the Commanders back to DC if they don't change the name, I do believe that that's something he would stake his flag to. I also do believe he could tomorrow wake up and decide he was totally wrong and he loves the Commanders' name. It's just an unpredictable situation. The reality is that even if the deal was approved tomorrow, the stadium wouldn't be done until 2030. So there are a lot of twists and turns left to go in this situation, but it means more content for me here on the channel. So I'm not going to complain. Before we get on out of here, since it is training camp day, number one, I want to talk about things that I'm actually going to be watching for out on the field. And no, I'm not there right now. I wish I was desperately. But, well, I shouldn't say on the field. I wish I was there watching the guys on the field. I wish I was. But the biggest thing probably that I'm going to be watching for is what second-year guys step up to the plate and show some development. Jayden Daniels, I can say with reasonable certainty he's going to be good. I don't know why. This is just totally on a tangent here. I don't know why people are so convinced Jayden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump, but then Bo Nix is going to take off because he's got his experience in the NFL and he's ready for a superstar second year. How does that make sense? We're total contrarians in every sense of the word. Jayden's going to be just fine. He was one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL as a rookie. They added protection to his offensive line and they upgraded the defense. Now, is it going to hurt if Terry isn't there and there's no immediate replacement for Terry? Absolutely. But I don't think he's going to stink. I still have confidence he'll be, at worst, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL because that guy is that good. So I know what Jayden's going to be. To a certain degree, I know what Mike Sainristil still is going to be. He was good. I'm not going to say great. Not going to say, I don't know if impressive is the right word. I'm just going to say he was a good outside corner. But when you consider that he had never played there before in his career, he was moved in the middle of the season. Some of his natural physical limitations, he's a 5'8" corner trying to play outside. Him playing good on a defense that struggled stands out. So now that he's allowed to move back inside to nickel, and if Trey Amos is solid, if Marshawn Lattimore is better now that he's healthy, I know to a certain degree what Mike Sainristil is going to be. Heck, maybe 2-3 years down the road, he's an all-pro in nickel. It's definitely possible. The second-year guys that I'm talking about the Ben Sinnott's, the Dominique Hamptons, the Jordan McGee's, the Javonte Jean-Baptiste. I want to know, what are these guys going to actually be? Because it's cool. It's cool to get behind them as the first crop of talent in this new Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and Josh Harris regime. I'm excited for all of that. I want them to succeed. But if they're not going to produce, then we have to separate some of our emotions from this situation. Luke McCaffrey, add him into this mix too. Guys that were drafted last year and that we want to believe in, and they have talent, and we're just excited because we still have the good feelings of last year. But we don't know what they're going to be or what they can be. In the case of Ben Sinnott, for example, this is a guy that when he was drafted, Adam Peters said, "You remind me of George and Juice," talking about Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle. If we got a George Kittle and a Kyle Juszczyk on this offense and he's just waiting to explode, someone who can dominate play action, be a really good pass and run blocker, and be a really good receiver and route runner, and pick up yards after the catch, we're talking about completely changing the complexion of the offense. But that's very different from a guy who had like 50 total receiving yards as a rookie last year. In the case of Dominique Hampton, a guy with safety coverage skills and speed and agility who spent last year bulking up, learning from some great linebackers and Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. Now he's coming down to play in the box. I want to see what that looks like. Not Dominique Hampton, just finished talking about him. Jordan McGee. Yeah, as excellent as Bobby Wagner is as a player, and as excellent as he's been over the course of his career, he is losing a step. And I don't say that disrespectfully, because if you're anywhere in his vicinity, he's going to grab you, put you on the ground. He was outstanding in zone coverage against the pass last year, but he's not going sideline to sideline. Jordan McGee gives you that. He gives you range. When he was drafted, Dan Quinn told him, we want you to bring that run and hit style to DC. He can go sideline to sideline. You know, the Commanders played a lot of dime last year, only had 2 linebackers on the field. If that's the case, you need them to be able to cover a lot of range. And when you think about some of their struggles against the run, could that have played into it? Yeah, absolutely. So if you're getting more athletic, Jordan McGee, or if you want to get more athletic, Jordan McGee gives you a great chance to do that. That's kind of where I'm at with all these players. Luke McCaffrey as well. You know, you kind of can see what I'm saying at this point. There's a lot of players that have talent and potential, and we do believe in. But because the Commanders have the oldest roster in the NFL, at some point or another, these young players can't just be put in the cupboard and stored for the future. They've got to get on the field, and they've got to produce. And I will be watching for it. But that's not just me. That's also you guys. Because if you hit that subscribe button, you can watch for it too right here on this channel. That's going to do it for this video. Please, before you get on out of here, hit the like button if you enjoyed. Go to the comment section. I will say this several times. Go to the comment section. I don't record these videos just to spew thoughts into computer camera with an empty wall behind me. No, I want to know what your opinions are. I really want to build this community. What are your opinions on the name change, the Terry deal, the Von Miller signing, second year guys, anything? Just go to the comment section. Let me know. I'll be responding to everybody. But until I catch you all, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.